Medicine Show over at the Performance Medicine channel over on YouTube. Also, more information at performancemedicine.net. To our friends in North Knoxville, a brand new location over in Fountain City, now accepting patients. So many ways to reach Dr. Rogers. And like they say, stay educated, stay healthy. Performance Medicine, online, performancemedicine.net.
Located in Knoxville's historic Old City, Barley's offers great food, live music, the best draft beer selection in town, and now your new favorite place to watch sports. Their indoor projector is perfect for any weather, and they've revamped their upstairs area with more TVs to take in all of the action. Their menu features hand-battered chicken tenders, juicy burgers, fresh salads, and the tastiest pizza in Knoxville. You can enjoy their happy hour drink specials daily from open until 6 p.m. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria.
Basilio here with my buddy, Connexio Kristen.
Hey, Tony. Good to see ya. Connexio builds fleet technology that helps transportation and logistics companies win big. Live GPS, easy ELD and compliance tools, AI dash cameras, and asset tracking, all backed by the #1 U.S. customer support team. Want a better playbook for your operations? Visit Connexio.com/Tony. That's KONEXIAL.com/Tony. Connexio, built for drivers, trusted by fleets, and proud Vol fans.
Tony Basilio here, and I got the great Chad Stockton of FC Alliance 2026. Chad, do you believe we've made it?
Boys and girls teams start off the new year at big national event showcases. We got our younger kids training indoors and doing a lot of things to get better. So we're excited about what the future holds.
Chad, I hear the juice behind you. I hear the kids. Your program reaches throughout East Tennessee. If folks want to get involved, what's the advice?
We're easy to get in touch with. We offer players at all ages, all levels, all experience. We have a program for all of our kids that we have, and we're excited for anyone to join us.
And even some Lady Vols as well. Several college players all over the country, yes?
Absolutely. We had a lot of girls that we were able to watch play in the NCAA tournament. A lot of our former players made big runs through the tournament. We're so excited for them.
Growing the beautiful game. In this, the year of the World Cup in North America, celebrate the beautiful game. Get your child involved. FCAllianceKnox.org. That's FCAllianceKnox.org. And Chad, thank you, man. Keep growing the beautiful game.
Absolutely, Tony, and thank you very much.
Preparing food for a big gathering can really take it out of you. That's why you need to call Calhoun's and check out their selection of party platters. Whether you're hosting a party for the big game, a reunion, or just an everyday gathering, a Calhoun's party platter is next level.
You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville, and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
And here we go, live from the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios. It's the Playbook on Fan Run Radio with Brett Hullander, Garrett Armbrust, and Will Palumbo. I'm William Pattison. We appreciate you listening along with us on this fine Monday from Knoxville, Tennessee. And boy, do we have plenty to cover over the next 2 hours, including another win in the victory column for the Volunteers, this time over Auburn on Saturday. We'll give you our takeaways and storylines from that one. A little bit later on, Lady Vols in action on Sunday, taking on the #1 team in the country. They fight back in the first half, but things quickly got out of hand in the second half. We'll give you our takeaways from that one. A little bit later on in hour number 2, we'll go around college basketball. Talk about a big weekend that featured some big-time matchups, highly anticipated matchups like BYU and Kansas. Florida lays the hammer down on Alabama, and the Crimson Tide moved to 1-2 since adding a former NBA G Leaguer. And we'll also talk about that Kentucky-Arkansas game. Got a little bit chippy towards the end and really throughout the night. We'll tell you which team is trending in the right direction coming out of that one. And then also, the can of worms has been opened We've now got another name to add towards the former NBA professional player, G League / NBA guy that's trying to come back to college basketball, and that's Amari Bailey. We'll talk more about that in hour number 2. We'll wrap it up with our final thoughts. Plenty to cover on a Monday. So happy you're here. Hope you're staying warm wherever you may be. Knoxville actually got some snow this weekend. I was surprised. Friday night started coming down, and Saturday it stuck around. It was snowing for much of Saturday as well. But hope you're staying warm out there. Happy you're here. Let's welcome in the rest of the crew before we get going, beginning with Brett. Brett, how are you?
Doing well. Yeah, I was bad on the weather Saturday for a lot of it. Unfortunately, I had to get out a little bit, and also really sore. I have an appreciation for people up north that have to shovel their driveways constantly. Just doing the couple inches we had, I was sore as could be. That was a tough workout. It took me like an hour to do our driveway because we're on an incline.
Yeah.
So we have a hard time getting in and out of our driveway if it does anything. So I had to get out there and get the shovel to use and stuff like that. So a little sore, but other than that, doing pretty well. I did notice you were busy on Twitter on Saturday night with some Bama people regarding this Betty Ocko situation. The back and forth between you and this one dude was just it was fun to read.
Yeah, I'll talk about that here in a second.
No, that's fine.
Because yes, I did add a new fan base this weekend.
You did.
Garrett, to you, how are you?
I'm good. Tried to stay out of the Twitter wars this weekend. But yeah, no, I completely agree with everything that William had to say on that Twitter feed. I also saw some of the tweets that were going on around there. But it was a good weekend. A little bit of snow. Went to the game. Spent some time at Cool Beans on Friday night. Solid weekend.
There you go. Will Palumbo in the executive.
He's running the ship.
He's running this. I know the executive spot now. He's been all over the place. He's shadowed. He's been in the 2 spot. Now he moves over to the production chair. Will, how are you? How was your weekend?
I'm doing great. Took a little surprise trip to Nashville actually. So my first time there. So I had a great time there with some friends.
How was it over there? It seems like quite the experience for first time.
Well, yeah, it was actually a lot of fun. I mean,
Broadway, I guess.
Yeah, I went to Broadway.
Nice.
Spent too much money, obviously. It was the drive wasn't bad either. Luckily, all the roads were clear, so I was only there for about 36 hours. So had a great time though.
Tennessee back in the AP poll. I got to post this so you guys for a second just take it for a moment. But I'll tee us off. I'll let you guys get your takeaways in first. And then I will discuss what went down on Friday night. But first things first topic, let's get into it. University of Tennessee men's basketball team led from start to finish Saturday night in a 77-69 win against Auburn at a sold-out Food City Center. Freshman forward Nate Ament, who went 12 of 15 at the free throw line, led all scorers with 22 points for the Volunteers as they now improve to 15-6 on the season, 5-3 in SEC play. And the team's third consecutive triumph, 4 out of their last 5, now going towards the Volunteers. Guys, we'll begin with you. Brett, your takeaways from Saturday.
I mean, it's just a gritty, tough SEC rivalry game on Saturday night. Didn't have your best. Your defense showed out and showed up as it usually does. You got back on the glass. Despite being par down, you held your own against a scrappy Auburn team. You had the complementary pieces again, and you needed them more so Saturday night than even the previous game because, with Gillespie having foul trouble throughout the night and not putting forth his usual 15 to 20 points that you could guarantee. It was a pleasant surprise, and, these guys are slowly gaining more confidence for each game. And, the trust that Barnes had and things like that with these guys is starting to pay off more and more. They're looking like older guys out there. And, it was a good game. And, you kind of controlled Keyshawn Hall and, what's his name? Pettiford, I guess Pettiford and things like that. So it was just a good performance overall from the boys on Saturday night.
Garrett, to you, your takeaways from the action.
Yeah, that was a good effort. I thought it was pretty dominant. I mean, from start to finish. Obviously, you held a 10-point lead at half. Would have been more. Obviously, you fouled a 3-point shooter there, kind of to end half, going kind of a little bit of salt on the wound to end the half. And then second half, you kind of get it going. They cut it down, to single digits again, and then kind of toward the end of the game, get back to double digits, and then end up obviously winning the game by 8. But just felt like you were in control of it the whole way. as Brett said, on the glass again, kind of just like the Georgia game, you out-rebounded them offensive and defensively on offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds. And I thought you did defensively. We talked about last week you were going to have to make sure that you held them to a lower three-point percentage. It's one of the teams that could make a lot of threes. And, you saw Todd Pettiford go 2 of 11 from three. Keyshawn Hall, 3 of 9. He had 21 points, but still didn't shoot great from beyond the arc. Kevin Overton, 1 of 7. So, they went 7 of 31 from, beyond the three-point line. And, if they're shooting those better, this is probably a much closer game. Tennessee also made a lot of free throws. Yep. Anyone that's watched Tennessee play this year has known that Tennessee's had a problem at the free throw line. And to go, I think it was 21 of 25 from the line, that was massive. Nate Ament, 12 of 15 from the line. 22 points, as you mentioned. For a freshman to step up like that, when Gillespie, kind of your main scorer this year, the older guy, got in foul trouble, much of the game, that was a big performance for Ament and just showed you what he's done over the past couple of weeks, just transformed his game completely.
Yeah, obviously a big win for Tennessee at home. You welcome back Stephen Pearl. Bruce Pearl, I thought was going to be there. I didn't think he made it.
They
but
would have showed him, I'm sure.
Yes, for sure. Regardless, a big assignment, primetime matchup inside your own building up against a very talented Auburn team. Tennessee gets it done. Will, your takeaways from Saturday?
Yeah, like Garrett said, I think we controlled it from start to finish. It was crazy. I had to ask the bar to put it on the TV, being in Nashville. But like we mentioned it last week. The free throw percentage, love to see that jump from the Georgia game. And, rebounds, another 40-plus rebound game. And I loved seeing Ament be more aggressive. He's really coming into his own, initiating that contact, making his shots. And I think we just look really comfortable right now. For us to be able to win with defense and free throws and not just our shot-making ability, I think it says a lot about our team right now.
Yeah. All right. Done posting. Here we go. I'll begin with my takeaways, then I'll get to the Friday nights thing. But look, on Friday when we joined you here, a couple of my big keys to the game were, first off, get off to a good start. And I thought Tennessee did that from the jump. He came out with the energy. I know the crowd was kind of a little bit late arriving due to all of the weather and stuff in the area. But shout out to the student section, though. I thought those guys showed out and made an impact. I thought they were, really loud throughout the night. But getting off to that hot start was so very important. Tennessee did that right off the bat, led this one early, wire-to-wire victory up against a really good team. I liked everything I saw in the first half, but then as you started getting that second half, you started to kind of encroach on Tennessee, Kentucky area from 2 weeks ago, right? Where you had a really strong start, but then you allowed Auburn to creep back into it. So something that needs to be maybe corrected or fixed or looked into is getting off to these hot starts, but then finishing off, right? And obviously Tennessee gets a win, but it got a little close, too close for comfort at some points in that second half. And if Tennessee is not able to make a couple of shots or Auburn's able to heat up themselves, this one very easily could have ended up the other way like it did against Kentucky. So holding on to those leads is very important. Tennessee did it Saturday, but I'd like to kind of keep that arm's distance after getting off to such a strong start, something that Tennessee isn't accustomed to doing this year. Second thing, I think Tennessee's got one of the best offensive rebounding teams, maybe just rebounding teams, period, that we have seen under Rick Barnes. This is a team right now that when you look historically, top 5 in offensive rebounding rating over the last 25 years. Like what they're currently doing is historic. And we'll talk more about the balance of those complementary performers and the Tennessee star performers here in a moment. But a dominant showing on the glass. You had 4 guys in themselves out-rebound Auburn as a team. So attacking that glass, getting those second chance points, really key on Saturday once again. And I think Tennessee has to continue to use that to their advantage. But I think the big tweak here is kind of finding, kind of balancing, trying to throw it back up as we see Jalen Carey do a lot, and, pulling it back out and just trying to get a new offensive possession, right? Especially when you're playing some of these really talented offensive teams. If you limit the amount of time and possession that the opposing team has, that plays really well for Tennessee. So rebounding is a great key for the Vols, but also capitalizing on those second chance points and opportunities is really key. I thought Tennessee did a good job with that. Another guy I want to talk about is J.P. Estrella. I thought he had a couple of really nice touch shots around the basket once again. He continues to be really beneficial offensively, but the defense is really, really concerning. And it was again Saturday to where he's into 4 fouls, and you don't have the depth because of Felix Okpara is not available for the game. Jalen Carey played really well in this one, but he's not as tall or as big as an Okpara or an Estrella. I love what you get with Estrella on the offensive end, but damn it, he has got to be more disciplined defensively. That is a fatal flaw for him, and I think that is what is preventing him from becoming, a go-to 3 for this team, a go-to 4, just in terms of a scoring option, not position, a scoring option because of the liabilities you get defensively. So for Estrella, I'd love to see him continue to work on the defense of side of the basketball and staying out of foul trouble because we love the depth this team has down low, but you like to keep your top performers, best players available for the longest time possible. Estrella needs to continue to fix that. But overall, folks, this is a Tennessee team hitting their stride right now. 4 wins in their last 5. You've now strung together 3 in a row. You got a very nice opportunity tomorrow night against Ole Miss, and you're building momentum heading into a big-time matchup with Kentucky, which I think will be the true litmus test of where this team is in early February. Because right now they're playing their best basketball of the season. This is the most consistent we have seen them in back-to-back performances, consecutive performances, whether it be on the road, at home. Finding ways to win, I think, is very valuable in SEC play. And they've gone up against some good teams. The top 8 teams in the conference in the last 3 outings they've beaten. So as you head into Ole Miss, as you head into Kentucky, you need to continue to ride this momentum. I think you'll get that against Ole Miss. Kentucky, I think, is going to be the ultimate litmus test. But one of the hottest teams in the conference right now. I'd say Florida, even though they got handled by Auburn a week ago, they've put together 2 really impressive performances. We'll talk more about that in hour number 2. Texas A&M continues to win with buckyball, but Tennessee is encroaching towards the top of the SEC standings, and they're doing so by finding ways to win and buying into their strengths. So a very good win for the Vols. We'll talk more about these. I might save the Alabama thing for final thoughts.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
But let's get into some specific performances here. Ament became the first volunteer with 12-plus made free throws and/or 15-plus attempts since January 23rd, 2019, and the first with 15-plus attempts in a regulation contest since November 13th, 2018. In addition, he became the first SEC player with 15-plus attempts in over 3 years, plus co-led all players with 8 rebounds. Jalen Carey, he finished with 13, a strong night for him coming back from injury. We didn't see a ton of him against Georgia, but he looked healthy and ready to go on Saturday. He matched Ament in the rebounding column, as did sophomore guard Bishop Boswell and freshman guard Amari Evans, who had 7 and 6 points respectively. Senior guard Jacoby Gillespie tallied just 11, but had a team-high 5 assists, while freshman forward Dwayne Brown, the second, notched 10 points, 7 rebounds, and a career-best 4 assists, tied with a career-high 2 steals. We talk about these secondary performers for the Volunteers. Been very key over this winning streak. You got it from Nate Ament. He's starting to become that star player that a lot of people thought he could be, but it took a little bit of time, right? But that's just part of the process. Jacoby Gillespie only goes for 11 in this one, but it was those complimentary performances once again on the glass and in the scoring column that leads Tennessee above a talented Auburn group. So it doesn't always necessarily have to be scoring. Now, I know when you've got Gillespie and Ament and those are your 2 main scorers, you'd like to have those complementary pieces be bigger in the scoring column. But this was a really balanced attack when you get Bishop Boswell to knock in a triple and get 7 points. Amari Evans, a true freshman, knocks in 6. And then you add in Dwayne Brown with 10 and Jalen Carey with 13, a couple of nice buckets from JP Estrella, and that's a well-rounded performance. So it doesn't always have to be, someone just goes off like you saw JP Estrella do against Georgia, but it just needs to be complimentary. And I think he got that Saturday, and it goes a long way because when things get tight and Jacoby Gillespie isn't able to be the 20-point scorer he is on most nights, you need those secondary guys to, show up and make an impact. And you did so on the glass, and you did so with some nice scoring options as well. So a balanced attack for Tennessee results in a win. Shocker to none, because that's exactly what this team has been lacking over the last month or couple of months leading up to where we are right now. Garrett, to you, the balance between the star players and complementary performers on Saturday.
Yeah, you've definitely seen it a lot, over the past couple of games. And when you go into March Madness, you have to have this. You have to have 5, 6, 7 guys that can play, complementary basketball with each other. If you only have 2 guys that are your primary scorers and you don't have anyone off the bench that you trust to come in and make shots, you're not going to be able to beat, teams in the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8. You can win, games in the first weekend, but you can't get much further than that. So, like the performances, like you said, Dwayne Brown, I thought it was big for him. We talked about last week on the show, kind of going through a bit of a freshman slump. He's a guy we highlighted a lot over the summer, a guy that was getting a lot of talk, as a true freshman, and started the season off nice and then kind of, slumping a little bit into SEC play. But, to get 10 points off, from him, massive. I thought that was big from him. And then Bishop Boswell just continues to be this guy that you need on your team. He kind of plays a little bit Zakai Ziegler-esque. He's going to get you a couple steals per game. He just plays really gritty. He's your best defender. He was a guy early in the season. I was a little bit questionable if he should be a starter just because I was a little bit hesitant about his offensive game. Everyone knows what he can do on defense, but he's shown you he can knock down a couple threes per game. He can give you 7 to 10 points, and that's big for someone that's in your starting lineup that's primarily in there for defense to give you some offensive help. So I thought him and Brown were my 2 main takeaways from the guys that were not the primary scorers in that game.
Yeah, Bishop Boswell, a big addition and big help on the glass on Saturday. And earlier I talked about this might be the best rebounding team we've ever seen. Maybe Tennessee have, period, but for sure under Rick Barnes. And stats the ones I'm about to say are an example of that. Nate Ament, Bishop Boswell, Jalen Carey, and Amari Evans became the second Tennessee quartet with 8+ rebounds in the same game over the last 20 seasons, dating back to 2006, and the first since December 23rd, 2013. Brown gave the Volunteers, and then again, that's Dwayne Brown, gave the Volunteers a quintet of players with 7+ boards for the first time in the last 2 decades, marking just the 12th such occurrence by an SEC team in that span. Rebounding is a huge point of emphasis for this team, and it's paying off in big ways, historic ways, that is. But I mentioned Amari Evans as a part of that group. Something I noticed on Saturday while up in the rafters, because I got a $10 ticket, went to the game. It was a little bit of a last-minute thing, but I'm sitting there noticing, I'm like, whoa, another game with no Amari Abram. Back-to-back games now where we've seen very limited action from Amari Abram, and it seems as if Amari Evans has taken his spot in the rotation. And I've talked a lot over the last couple of weeks, folks, about Barnes kind of rounding out this roster, rounding out the rotations, figuring out which guys work at a pivotal point in the season. Because a lot of the guys you saw in November and December have kind of trickled out. No more Ethan Berg. Everyone's celebrating that. Amari Abram is actually a guy I like, but it seems as if Amari Evans is now taken over that role. And I think what he gives you is a higher ceiling because Evans is a good defender. He's lengthy. I like the build he's got. Yeah. He kind of looks like a defensive back or something, and he's starting to give you some nice offensive production as well. So I think Tennessee is starting to really lean into their strengths. And I think that's very important as this team moves forward. You're really good on the glass. You're always going to be a good defensive team under Rick Barnes. Let's go put guys out there that are athletes that can play a lot of different positions defensively and then be a really big contribution on the glass. And they'll find a way to get them involved offensively with a couple of backdoor cuts and layup opportunities. That's what this group is doing right now. And while I do like Amari Abram, I don't think his ceiling is near as high as Amari Evans. And again, I know that this is just this season, and you can never predict what guys are going to do in the offseason. But having like an Amari Evans become a valuable player, Bishop Boswell, a sophomore guard, become a really valuable player, Dwayne Brown, JP Estrella, like now you're starting to build towards the future. And that's what Rick Barnes' teams have had a lot of success with, having those guys that stick around and provide the nucleus of, how things are run, and you can add in new pieces here and there in the transfer portal. But like giving Amari Evans an opportunity to really shine at this point in the season, I think is big, not only for this year, but as well as the years to follow if he does stick around. And I like the change because I think he gives you a lot of versatility defensively, and obviously he was strong on the glass on Saturday night as well. I like the change. To you, Brett, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was saying in preseason, I think you should, give him more minutes. His build is not freshman. I mean, he's 6'5", 220. He's from Pittsburgh, so he's hard nosed, and Barnes loves those guys. He can play multiple positions, and he's a lesser version of even Boswell and Meshack, if you want to say, because he just does all the little things, the intangibles and things like that maybe don't necessarily always show up on the box score. He can guard bigger guys, he can guard guards, so you love having those guys out there, and Boswell, I mean, he's come a long way, and you saw him take on another role on Saturday, and that was, lead the team. Gillespie went out, and he was asked to be more of a point guard and get offense and things like that, and I thought he handled that pretty well. So you're seeing guys that can play multiple different ways, and it was huge on Saturday, and I think Amari Evans is going to continue to be an important piece down the stretch here for the Vols.
Well, same question to you. Amari Evans versus Amari Abram. Which side do you favor?
Definitely Amari Evans. I mean, the way he looked last game in the past 2 weeks, I think he's definitely making a big jump. I mean, the way Rick Barnes been definitely tightened down this rotation. I mean, it seems to be working. We're looking good. He's always been kind of like a 7-8 guy rotation. I mean, especially with the inconsistency from our bigs. I think Amari Evans is really playing a good role. I mean, Carey as well. Him and Brown, they kind of do that dirty work, like Brett said. I think it's really working.
David speaks in the YouTube chat. Amari Evans is the only guard Barnes trusts off the bench, and that does seem to be the case at the moment.
Definitely.
Sure as hell not trusting Ethan Berg. I wouldn't trust him to park my car. But to Auburn, senior forward Keyshawn Hall, who was the co-SEC Player of the Week leading up to this matchup, along with Nate Ament after a strong performance from the 5-star freshman against Alabama. Keyshawn Hall was also very big that weekend against Florida. But Hall just went 1 of 8 to begin the game in the first 28 minutes. He finished 7 of 17 to lead the Tigers with 21 points. A lot of that production was beneficial in making this a little bit closer than it seemed in that first half, like we discussed earlier. But he not only made 6 of his final 9 field goals, but also 3 of his last 5 3-point attempts after beginning 0 of 4. And then sophomore guard Tahad Pettiford put up just 11 points, but the Volunteers limited him to a 4 of 14 clip from the field, including a 2 of 11 ledger from long range, both under his averages for the season, though that's not saying much. No other Tiger reached double figures on Saturday night in the Vols win. And getting into this defensive performance for Tennessee, I thought that it was, really, really strong in that first half. I thought you set the tone early, kind of feeding off the crowd, feeding off the home energy. You forced tough shots. You forced a guy like Tahad Pettiford to get off his game early, and that's kind of been his Achilles heel this season. If he doesn't get off to a hot start, he struggles to find rhythm. Keyshawn Hall, a really, really talented player, a transfer from Central Florida, got off to a tough start himself, found his way in the second half, but Tennessee had already put such an emphasis defensively in that first period to where it was difficult for the Tigers to climb back into it. And when you've got a strong defense and your offense is able to give you a 10-point lead around halftime, then that's, a winning recipe for this Volunteers team. So another performance up against a talented offensive team from the state of Alabama in which Tennessee dominates. Did so against the Crimson Tide on the road a week ago. Did so on Saturday against Auburn. So we know this Tennessee defense is always going to be strong under Barnes. But for a team like this, where you're still trying to figure out who your second and third and fourth best scoring options are on any given night, it helps to have that defense be of a strong suit. And once again was for Tennessee against Auburn. Garrett, to you, what'd you make of the Vols defense?
Yeah, I mean, obviously forced them into a lot of difficult shots. We touched on the fact 7 of 31 from 3. They only shot 38% from the field. They also only had 2 guys off their bench score. So I think that was a big part of the success for the Tennessee defense, kind of holding those guys coming off the bench to not doing much. But it does have to be addressed that you did foul multiple 3-point shooters.
Sure.
And that's something that just cannot happen. I mean, that is one of the cardinal sins of basketball is you never foul a 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
You did it right before the half. and I believe you did it at some point in the second half. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, but I believe you did it twice. That's something that you really should never do in a game once, and that goes back to something we were talking about Estrella. As good as he is on the offensive side of the ball, he is a liability on the defensive side of the ball at times, and that's just something that I feel like our team has done that a lot this year, jumped a lot on 3-point shots. I feel like that's something more where you need to just put a hand up and create pressure in someone's face. But yeah, just the fouling of a 3-point shooter just made me put my face in my palm multiple times in the arena. Just what are we doing? Giving them 3 free points, right at the line. That made me a little bit agitated for as good as the performance was. Very frustrating about that, but I know Barnes will fix that issue because I know as frustrated as I am, he's more frustrated than me.
Yeah, and he talked about that post game as well. A very funny bit from him talking about sometimes I wonder if my players are gambling on the games. I don't know if the PR team was so happy about that one, but
passing, yeah.
When you're Barnes at this age and at this stage in your career, you can kind of let.
I didn't think he was kicking his leg out a couple of those though. Pettiford.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is what it is.
But he shouldn't get that close. The one before half was the most annoying.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially right before half, like that's already a low percentage shot
from the basket. Yeah.
So, definitely something that's one of those moments in film sessions probably today where you kind of sink in your chair when that comes up on the screen.
It made it worse because he made them.
Yeah.
He made the 3.
Yeah.
So.
That 4-point play at half made my blood pressure boil. I said some choice words at my TV, says David Speaks, while watching the game. But overall, Tennessee held Auburn, which entered the night as the number 10 team nationally in the Ken Pom adjusted offensive efficiency rating, to a 38.1% shooting clip from the field, including 22.6% from the 3-point line. Going back to those keys I discussed on Friday, holding them under 30% from 3. Tennessee does so at 22.6. Now for the victors, who led for 39 minutes and 21 seconds, finished with an 80% clip at the free throw line. A huge improvement. 25 of 31. I thought that was a huge difference here, and you guys touched on it earlier. But against Georgia, you go 15 of 25, shoot 60%. That is a losing recipe against teams like Auburn and against teams in the tournament. Tennessee goes 80% on 31 tries. That was a big boost. The second best clip of the season. So it looks like free throw shooting was an emphasis on Thursday and Friday of practice. But up next for Tennessee, who is now ranked in the AP Top 25 poll, number 25 in the country, are the Volunteers, one spot behind number 24, Louisville. Brett, can you tell me who Tennessee played in December on the 16th?
You want to go with this head-to-head thing? It didn't work out well for you in the football thing.
Well, I
know. We killed them. We killed them. And
yeah.
They've been pitiful in the weaker ACC.
Like 30 to Duke the other night.
Now, they got killed. So, yeah, it's kind of shocking. I don't know how they determine these rankings.
Yeah, well, I guess like the AP poll is technically like, just the accumulation of points tallied for each team.
Were they in the poll last week?
Was Louisville?
Yeah.
They dropped.
Had to have been.
They
lost.
Yeah. They dropped. But Tennessee at 25, back in the AP poll. That means now 91 appearances in the last 93 weeks. So good for the Vols. Up next, home game at Food City Center, where it takes the court Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN2 against the Rebels of Ole Miss. So where do we stand with the team right now? I think this is one of the hottest teams in the SEC. Have to continue that heading into what should be kind of a bye game against Ole Miss. Easy
now.
Well, I'm not. Ole Miss is one of the lower level teams in the conference right now. Very talented, but guys like Malik Dia have disappointed. I like Chris Beard a lot.
I mean, bye game's a little harsh though. This is an SEC opponent. It's not like you're playing Wofford.
I know, but this may be a quad 2 game.
If it was in Oxford, like it could be a little sneaky like last year. I mean, you lost that game, but like I feel like this game being in the only thing is it's at a tough position. Like you're going at Lexington this weekend. Like
I just don't give us anything because we're not great offensively. I mean, we put on our best offense is offensive rebounding, as you've said. So I mean, we don't score that well, so it keeps people in the game. We don't shoot it well. So,
I just say for Tennessee, for what Tennessee is doing now, for what Tennessee is doing now, this is a very manageable game, maybe a bye game.
They only lost to 3 at Vandy, right, this weekend?
I'd have to look at I don't have the total in front of me, but I'd say bye game. That might be a little extreme.
71-68 at Vandy.
But this is an Ole Miss team that's disappointed, and you're playing at home. Tennessee will probably be a 10.5-point favorite against the Rebels. So big opportunity. Need to continue the momentum. We'll get ready for Saturday's matchup throughout the week. But again, task at hand for tomorrow night. When we come back, though, we'll talk about a big-time road game for the Lady Vols yesterday, taking on number 1 UConn, and what looked to be maybe another instant classic quickly turned into an avalanche of points for the Huskies. We'll break it down when we return right here on the Playbook on Fan Run Radio.
For the fans, by the fans, this is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
What kind of day is it? It's a White Claw day. Grab a pack, grab your friends. Everything else in life can wait. Your friends shouldn't. Let's go. White Claw. Grab life by the claw. Please drink responsibly. Hard seltzer with flavor. White Claw Seltzer Works, Chicago, Illinois.
A brand built in Tennessee and born from the love of the game. Inward Half revolutionizes golfing comfort. Crafted by a former pro and dedicated enthusiast just like you, our luxury performance wear guarantees you stay cool and comfortable through every swing and every day. We're not just a brand. We've set out to create a lifestyle for those who understand that impeccable style and premium performance are a hole-in-one. Enjoy the walk-in with Inward Half.
Smoky Mountain Brewery is the place to be for game day. From the moment you walk in, it's wall-to-wall big screens, making Smoky Mountain Brewery the perfect place to watch the Vols or your favorite team in action. With locations in Turkey Creek, Maryville, Pigeon Forge, and Gatlinburg, you're never far away from a great time at Smoky Mountain Brewery. Try one of their world-famous microbrews like Black Bear Ale, Mountain Light, or Cherokee Ale. Juicy burgers, wings that bring the heat, and delicious handmade pizzas made with hand-tossed crust from the freshest ingredients and their own special sauce from a secret recipe, topped off with hand-grated cheese and farm-fresh toppings. And don't forget, those famous microbrews are also available in kegs for your next party or in 6-packs and growlers to go. So grab your crew and head to Smoky Mountain Brewery and tell them Fan Run Radio sent you. Smoky Mountain Brewery. Eat local, eat good. Attention service members and veterans. Introducing the Griffin Law Firm, your trusted ally in military legal matters. From court martials to benefit claims, at Griffin Law, your mission is their mission. Here's VFL Marshall Griffin.
As a veteran and retired military attorney, I've successfully defended lifelong benefits and helped preserve professional futures. So I know that when you hire a military justice lawyer, you maximize your chance to get relief. With my unique experience, I can advocate for you because there's no military matter that's too big or too small. Let us help you make these critical decisions that could affect the rest of your life. Remain silent. Request counsel. Call Griffin Law.
For a free consultation, call 888-707-4282. That's 888-707-4282. Or just visit griffinlawdefense.com.
The voluntary reaction.
Can't get enough Tennessee basketball? Join Fan Run Radio as soon as every UT game is over for Big Orange Country's post-game radio free-for-all. The voluntary reaction. We'll be taking your calls on the Vols as soon as every game is over. So tune in and buckle up as we drink from the keg of glory all the way to the Final Four.
The voluntary reaction. Raw, unfiltered, real.
Here on the Playbook on a fine Monday here in K-Town. We appreciate you hanging out with us, however you may be doing so, on the free Fan Run Radio app or on that YouTube live stream. And if you're on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. Lets us know we're doing a good job. We'll be active in the comment section as well. We'll read them off. So a little win-win. You like and subscribe. We read off the comments. How about that? Compromise. Let's switch over to another result from Tennessee basketball this weekend. However, this one, the Lady Vols traveling to Connecticut to take on the number one team in the country, the UConn Huskies. And the Lady Vols fought in that first half, but things quickly got out of hand in the second. as number 15 Tennessee worked its way back from being down 16 in the first quarter to lead by 4 in the second and 2 in the third before unbeaten and number 1 UConn hit 12 of 16 shots in the third period to pull away and claim a 96-66 victory in front of 15,000 fans at People's Bank Arena on Sunday afternoon. The Lady Vols now dropped to 14-5 on the season, led 46-44 with 8:28 left in the third before the Huskies went on top for good with 7:40 to go. Were paced by senior forward Jemiah Barker, 16 points. Senior forward Z Spearman chipped in 14. Senior guard Nia Robertson finished with 11. But UConn, who now is 23-0 on the season, got 27 points from Azzi Fudd, 26 points from Sarah Strong. Too much, an avalanche in Connecticut. Sarah Williams, Ashlyn Shade, and Ali Zebel also were in double figures with 12, 10, and 10 respectively. And what this performance told me was that I think that Kim Caldwell has done a great job bringing this program back to life and has brought some really high-end talent. And you saw that last week with a couple of strong freshman performances. But I think that sometimes the system and the way that Caldwell plays can go against Tennessee in a game like this. When you're going up against the number 1 team in the country, unbeaten, right? The margin of error for the way that Caldwell plays is already pretty slim, but it becomes minuscule when you take on a team that has as many talented performers as UConn in terms of scoring players. I mean, Fudd goes 27, Strong goes 26. You're going to have to be able to match that production with a couple of strong leading scorers yourself. And the way Caldwell plays, there are moments where it's going to throw a team completely off, and Tennessee will be able to ragdoll a lot of the weaker teams in the SEC and weaker teams they go up against. But if Tennessee doesn't shoot the ball from three really well and force a lot of turnovers and turn up the tempo for the opposing team, and they're not hitting their own shots, that's where things get out of hand. And to start this game, UConn comes out, strong start, feeding off the home crowd, a little bit of a revenge matchup from last year as the Lady Vols took down the Huskies inside TBA at FCC last season. But I thought Tennessee did a really good job weathering the storm. They went on their own run, 25-15 run to cut it back to single digits. I thought that was really impressive. Shows that, if things are going well, then Tennessee can compete with the best in the country. But things got out of hand in that third quarter because UConn hit their shots and Tennessee was not able to speed them up and put them out of rhythm, and they weren't able to hit their own shots. And that's just, it shows how quickly this team can lose a game the same way they could, quickly get out and just manhandle a team. It's a high risk, high reward type of system for Caldwell. And I know a lot of fans, even in this YouTube chat now, are saying, this is not a sustainable method of winning. But it's a modern style of basketball. It's, very similar to what we see from teams like Alabama and Nate Oates. On given nights, they can put up 100 points and run you out of the building. On other nights, you can have a performance like you saw Sunday when they took on Florida. We'll talk more about that in hour 2, but I think my overall takeaway here is that Tennessee does have the talent to contend with all the best teams in women's college basketball, but things have to go really well and have to go as scheduled against the top teams like a UConn. And even against Mississippi State last week, that was another game that things quickly got out of hand because Tennessee didn't shoot the ball well. The opposing team's able to hit their open shots, and the style of play and the pace in which Tennessee likes to play in then becomes a non-factor, which is the greatest strength of this team. So a couple of tough losses for the Lady Vols after stringing together 7 in a row heading into the matchup against the Bulldogs last week. Now you got to get back on track, right? A couple of gut punches. How does this team respond? But Caldwell's been pretty fiery in these past couple of press conferences. She's always had that kind of fire. But how does that translate to the rest of the team? Does the team continue to buy into what she is selling? I think is really key for where Tennessee moves forward here, because these 2 losses could be a turning point in the season, for better or for worse. You strung together a strong start to SEC play. You had a setback in SEC play. Now you have a setback on the road against one of the best teams in the country. How does Tennessee respond moving forward, I think is key. But you got an opportunity this week. Ranked team on the road, Georgia. That's an opportunity to get right. We'll see if Tennessee's able to do it. But overall, I think the takeaway for me is just the method of winning is very particular for the Lady Vols. And when it works and when everything goes to plan, Tennessee can win with the best in the country. But if things go haywire and they're not able to get the stops defensively and cause turnovers and hit shots of their own, you can have a 12 of 6 shooting period like UConn did on Sunday. Garrett, beginning with you, your takeaways from the Lady Vols loss yesterday, and what does that tell you about the team?
Yeah, I mean, they obviously showed fight right before half. I mean, obviously, you said UConn got up early, and they tied the game. I think it was 45-45 or 44-44 at half. And then the second half, obviously, was just a complete disaster. Get outscored by 30 in the second half. You know, kind of going back to what you were saying about Caldwell, you know, the way that she plays. Obviously, so many substitutions. You know, I just feel like that's hard to keep chemistry. You know, when you have 5 girls in there at one time and then, you know, you bring out 4 of them and put another 4 in, or you bring out 5 and put it, like, it's just hard to keep chemistry. And I feel like this roster that they have this year that they've constructed is really good. Obviously, you start SEC play undefeated, lose to Mississippi State. Saw, you know, a press conference, I guess it was this past week, where she said that they were late to shoot around before the game here, a home game. I'm not really sure how that happens against Mississippi State. That seems like a little bit of a problem to me. And then obviously, you know, losing to UConn by 30. I don't think you expected to win this game on the road, especially after beating them last year, you know, in Knoxville. Obviously, UConn going to be hungry to get the win. UConn's a team that usually only loses 1 or 2 times a year. But, I mean, the second half after you tied the game was just, you know, complete domination by UConn. And I think Caldwell has a lot to prove to this fan base because there was a lot of excitement last year. You get to the Sweet 16, but, I mean, so far, she hasn't done anything more than what Kelly Harper's done. I mean, Kelly Harper took Tennessee to 2 Sweet 16s. You know, if Caldwell can break through, get him to an Elite 8, a Final 4. But, I mean, the fan base cares about this. I mean, the Lady Vols are the most, you know, prominent, you know, they have the most history, really, of championships of any team in school history. So I think they're just hungry to see the Lady Vols get back to where they know they can.
I think another thing, whether it's fair or not, you know, after that Tony Vitello fallout, right, where it was rumored for like a couple of weeks that the women's basketball team had something to do with why the baseball team couldn't get more money and stuff like that. Now, that was debunked by Danny White in that press conference when they announced Vitello's departure. But I feel like that kind of resonates still with a lot of people. And just the thought of, okay, we're putting a lot of funds towards this Lady Vols program. You know, is that taken away from other sports? And we had this conversation last week, and let me be very clear, folks. I'm not saying that the Lady Vols shouldn't be funded or anything like that, but I'm just saying the perception of the fan base when you see a game like this, 96-66, a lot of people are like, oh, well, where the hell's the money going, right? You know, why is this, you know, what we're paying for? But again, UConn's a very, you know, the best team in the country. Very good team. That's the standard. Tennessee obviously did not meet that standard on Sunday. But I thought, again, in the first half, just trying to take away the positives here. I mean, I thought Tennessee did a really good job in that second quarter making UConn uncomfortable. Forced some turnovers. The half-court pressure was there. Kind of a 3/4 court pressure, really. But, you know, a couple of times when you get out of position and you're not able to block a passing lane or, you know, stop a potential transition opportunity, that's where this defense can break down pretty quickly. And again, it just goes back to that margin of error I'm discussing, where if you play a team like UConn, play a top-tier team in the country, the margin of error is going to be really thin. And if you're not able to set the tone early and play your style, things can get a little bit dicey. Again, Tennessee responded. Really impressive response. But in that second half is a different story because Tennessee wasn't able to get those stops. So, and once again, I mentioned that perception thing. Again, not that I believe that Tennessee should not fund the Lady Vols program. Obviously, one of the most historic programs in all of sports, period. I mean, literally, what Pat Summitt did is what kind of set the table for what we see now with women's basketball, a growing sport. But I will say, like, I just think a lot of fans, from a fan perspective, look at a game like Sunday and say, well, you know, why are we putting this much money and this time and effort into this if that's the end product? So an opportunity this week. Tennessee.
Yesterday was an embarrassment, is what it was.
Like, yeah, it was an embarrassing loss.
Why can't she not change how she does things? You won your 2 games at Bama and at Kentucky, slowing down, not as much pressing. Against a team like that, they're going to kill you. They were getting wide open threes, layups. That's all it was. Like, I don't care if it's tied at halftime. You're Lady Vols. Like, you won 2 games by slowing the ball down, taking care of it, and, running better things. And it's, yesterday, I thought you can't lose the second worst loss in program history. Nobody remembers what the score was at halftime. They see what's the final score.
And I agree.
96-66 is not good.
I know. And look, and that's the unfair thing for this team, because if people watched the entirety of the game, you saw that Tennessee had a really nice comeback in that second quarter. Were able to take the lead early on in the second half. Obviously did not, hold that lead. But the end result is a 30-point loss. And obviously that's not going to look good to anyone. But I think Caldwell's kind of the same boat as Heupel. Like, Heupel has a specific way he runs his team, a specific way he runs the offense, and sometimes it can backfire against you. Tennessee's defense is, in football speaking, is usually on the field more than anyone in the country. Their offense might have the quickest, snap-to-snap timing, but sometimes a quick 3-and-out can really put you back. It's just the method of winning and the method of the approach. Caldwell's continued to do it. It's worked at the lower levels. I think it has worked for the most part at Tennessee, just in terms of bringing Tennessee back to some national recognition. But in order to take that next step, which I think Josh Heupel's kind of in right now, what needs to be critiqued, what needs to be changed in order to take that next step as a championship contender? I'd say Caldwell could kind of look at that right now. But it's a talented team, a couple of young players that are going to be around for a while, hopefully, that you can build off of. And this is only year 2, but most definitely a tough loss. For the Lady Vols. But again, another opportunity on Thursday night when they travel to Georgia, the number 23 ranked team in the country, Stegman Coliseum. Once again, the site for that one. 6:30 p.m. Eastern time tip on the SEC Network Plus. Lady Vols will look to get back into the win column following back-to-back losses. When we come back, we'll wrap up hour number 1. Stay right here. It's the Playbook on Fan Run Radio.
Catch up with all things Fan Run by subscribing to our podcast feed. Like, rate, and download the show from the Fan Run app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Your smile says it all, so make sure it's saying the right thing. At Knoxville Smiles, we believe healthy teeth mean happy lives. Whether it's a routine cleaning, whitening for that big event, or fixing a nagging toothache, our gentle team is here for you. With flexible hours, family-friendly care, and the latest technology, Knoxville Smiles makes every visit stress-free. Don't wait another day to love your smile. Call Knoxville Smiles today at 865-539-1776 or book online at knoxvillesmiles.com. Smile brighter with Knoxville Smiles.
Hi, this is Bo Kregner from the Kregner Group at Realty Executives. And I know there's a lot of choices here in East Tennessee when it comes to choosing a realtor. Here's why the Kregner Group is different. At the Kregner Group, our motto is walking by faith, serving others. It's how I live my life. It's how I run my business. Here at the Kregner Group, we're committed to doing real estate the right way. Faith, honesty, integrity. The Kregner Group. Call me anytime at 865-742-1035 or visit my website at boknowshouses.com.
Welcome to Axle Logistics, where excellence isn't just a goal, it's an energy. As a leading third-party logistics company, Axle is powered by an award-winning culture built on a work-hard, play-hard mentality. Here, the drive for success is contagious and hard work never goes unnoticed. Whether you're just starting out or looking to level up, Axle Logistics is the place to launch your career. Join us and take your ambition to the stars. To learn more, visit axlelogistics.com.
What's up, Fan Run Nation? This is Evan Rogers with ECR Total Landscapes. I'm happy to announce that our free stump grinding promotion for Fan Run Radio listeners is now extended to March 31st, 2026. If you've got trees in your yard that need to come down before they fall on your home, don't risk it. Call ECR Total Landscapes and mention you heard our ad on Fan Run Radio, and we'll get rid of that problem tree for you and grind those stumps for free. Call us at 865-384-2012 or check us out online at ecrtotallandscapes.com.
When Rocky Top hit rock bottom.
Multiple reports now that UT is in the process of hiring Greg Schiano as its next football coach.
A fan base's livelihood flashed before its eyes.
I mean, if there's anything inside you that still cares about the university, get down to campus right now and make your voice heard.
And then we said enough is enough.
John Reed is on the steps of the training center and he's rallying the troops with a bullhorn.
Hell no, Schiano! Hell no, Schiano!
From the ashes, we rose up. The fan base that started a revolution and the station that led the charge.
Getting reports from within the athletic department that the deal is off. Pretty connected guy saying the deal is off. That was a direct quote.
When the time came, you were ready.
We are starting a revolution that says we're not going to take this shit from you anymore.
For the fans that refuse to settle.
We have successfully shut this down today.
This is Fox Sports Knoxville.
We are the caretakers now.
Fan Run Radio.
Appreciate you hanging out with us. Tennessee ranked number 25 in the Associated Press top 25 poll. Came out right as we came on the air at 1 o'clock. After 2 weeks of being unranked and going undefeated in such a stretch, Tennessee finds itself back in the polls, right behind Louisville at number 24. Tennessee did beat Louisville 83-62 back on December 16th, 2025. Also ahead of the Vols, Miami of Ohio. They're undefeated on the season, 22-0. Another win on Saturday, one of two remaining unbeaten teams in college basketball. Arizona remains undefeated as well. St. John's at 22. And then the next closest teams to being ranked, Texas A&M received 83 votes. Alabama received 48. Two other wins for the Volunteers this season. So back in the AP poll, that's a good sign. I mean, it's a lot better than not being ranked, of course. But I think for Tennessee, you got to continue to focus on the task at hand. And I think they've done that over the last 2 weeks of play. But continuing to firm out your rotations, which I think we are seeing with guys like Amari Evans being more inserted into the lineup than others, is a sign of Barnes continuing to mature within his own group. And you take on an Ole Miss team that is let down this season, but is still very well coached and has a ton of really talented players. And that was a tournament team last year, a Sweet 16 team last year. So you got to handle business at home tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. You got to go to Rupp Arena, make a statement. You're going to let Kentucky win back-to-back seasons and take a sweep in back-to-back regular seasons?
They're a strange team to figure out.
Strange, and we'll talk more about Kentucky and Arkansas in hour two as we go around college hoops from the weekend. But Kentucky's an interesting team. They're kind of starting to heat up as well. They're playing better basketball. But for Tennessee, I think you're doing the same. And I'd look at the offensive glass to be a big point of emphasis Saturday night. I know that game's not till next Saturday, or this upcoming Saturday, and we've got all week to talk about it. But I'd look at that offensive glass as a big point of emphasis. Kentucky out-rebounded Tennessee 13-8 on the offensive glass in their last meeting, which resulted in a 19-7 advantage in second chance points. And that was the decision of the game. Tennessee led that one very early, double digits. Seemed like they were going to run them out of the building, led by 17. And they let them creep back into it. Tennessee let Auburn creep back into it Saturday, but found a way to win. Can they do the same this upcoming Saturday against Kentucky? But if you get a win against Kentucky and you play Mississippi State and LSU, this is a team that could possibly string off 8 wins in a row. And that's moving up the seed line. That's a top 2 or 3 seed, 2 or 3 seed in the SEC. And to think 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were asking if this team was going to be an 8 seed or not a top 5 seed in the tournament. Obviously a long way to go, but good progress has been made. When we come back, hour 2, we'll go around college hoops, talk Alabama, Florida, BYU, Kansas, Arkansas, and Kentucky. Plenty of action to cover. And then a can of worms that might piss off some people. It did this weekend. Amari Bailey, UCLA, former UCLA college basketball player who's been in the NBA for multiple seasons now. He's trying to come back. We'll talk about it when we return right here on the Playbook on Fan Run Radio.
Follow us on Twitter or X or whatever they're calling it these days at Fox Sports Knox. Fox Sports Knoxville. Fan Run Radio.
Blackford Veterinary Surgery Referral specializes in surgeries not regularly performed by your pet's general veterinarian. They're currently accepting referrals from vets all across the country. With their newly renovated state-of-the-art surgery center and highly trained staff, clients can rely on professional and thorough care. If your vet says that your pet needs surgery or rehab, ask for a referral to Blackford Vet and let them get your best friend back on its feet. Located conveniently in West Knoxville. For more information, visit blackfordvetsurgery.com.
Snakes, zombies, sharks, heights, speaking in public. The list of fears is endless. But while you're clutching your blanket in the dark, wondering if that sound in the hall was actually a footstep, the real danger is in your hand, when you're behind the wheel. And while you might think a great white shark is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Axle Logistics, where excellence isn't just a goal, it's an energy. As a leading third-party logistics company, Axle is powered by an award-winning culture built on a work hard, play hard mentality. Here, the drive for success is contagious and hard work never goes unnoticed. Whether you're just starting out or looking to level up, Axle Logistics is the place to launch your career. Join us and take your ambition to the stars. To learn more, visit axlelogistics.com.
You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville, and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
Running a business, coaching a team, planning your next big event, you need more than just gear. You need SM Athletics and Logo Solutions. Custom uniforms, branded apparel, promotional products, done right, done fast, and built to show off your brand with pride. From local businesses to high schools to major universities, SM Athletics is trusted by winners. Get real service, get real quality, get noticed. SM Athletics and Logo Solutions, where your brand comes to life.
Visit smathletics.com and let's build something great together.
Hey Vols fans, Cody Brown here. I grew up right here in Tennessee and know what it means when someone says, I've got your back. That's why you can trust Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee. Whether it's your home, your vehicle, your family's future, or the business you built from the ground up, we will show up for all of your insurance needs. We are Tennesseans who understand what matters, which is doing right by you. Insurance is not all about just paperwork and policies, but it's about the people we insure every day. So if you want insurance that hits home, give me a call at 865-992-3871. Go Vols.
Attention service members and veterans. Introducing the Griffin Law Firm, your trusted ally in military legal matters. From court martials to benefit claims, at Griffin Law, your mission is their mission. Here's VFL Marshall Griffin.
As a veteran and retired military attorney, I've successfully defended lifelong benefits and helped preserve professional futures. So I know that when you hire a military justice lawyer, you maximize your chance to get relief. With my unique experience, I can advocate for you because there's no military matter that's too big or too small. Let us help you make these critical decisions that could affect the rest of your life. Remain silent. Request counsel. Call Griffin Law.
For a free consultation, call 888-707-4282. That's 888-707-4282. Or just visit griffinlawdefense.com.
Here we go. Hour number 2 on a Monday, live from the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios. It's the Playbook, live on Fan Run Radio. Brett Hullander, Will Palumbo, and I about said Jackson Freeman. I'm sorry, Garrett. Garrett Armbrust joining you on this Monday. I'm William Pattison. Great stuff in hour number 1. We'll continue it here in hour number 2 as we go around college basketball. Alabama and Florida, BYU and Kansas, Kentucky and Arkansas, the storylines to take away from that one. Also touch on some other major results over the weekend. And then the can of worms continues to open up
Amari Bailey, a former UCLA basketball player who has played in the NBA for multiple seasons now, is saying, why not me? Why not? And literally, he said, why not me? That's what he told ESPN. Why not me in terms of coming back to college basketball? Some Alabama fans believe that they're not the ones that started this, that it was Nanji from Baylor and that it's the NCAA's fault. Plenty of them voiced that opinion on Friday. But I believe this is what Alabama has started and allowed, because Bailey is most likely going to have to use a judge as well. And the new format and new way to do it is just grab a circuit judge that also likes basketball in your school, and you'll get ruled eligible to play. But we'll talk more about that a little bit later on. We'll wrap it up with our final thoughts. But we'll get into our first topic for hour two, and that's around college hoops. And we'll begin with Alabama and Florida, who showed off on Sunday on ABC. And last year's SEC, which we talked about last week, was widely regarded as the best basketball conference ever. Featured 14 tournament teams, 2 Final Four participants, and the national champion. A year later, the conference is still deep and balanced, and there are a lot of good teams that are going to have an opportunity to play in the tournament. But it's been unclear if it contains the same type of heavy hitters as you saw last year, with Florida, Auburn, Tennessee, and Alabama all being top 2 seeds at least last season, 3 of which were number 1 seeds. But if Sunday is any indication, the reigning national champion Gators have the gear within them to challenge for a repeat this season against the number 23 team in the country, Alabama, healthy as it's been in weeks, along with former NBA G Leaguer Charles Bediako. Number 19 Florida dominated this one from the jump. Assertive physicality from tip to the final buzzer, and they overmatched Alabama like a mid-major opponent. Final score of 100-77. You thought 96-66 was bad for the Lady Vols? How about 100-77? Tells the story of that second half. Not even remotely close. Olivier Roux, the 7'9" center off the bench, was the one that put him over the century mark. Put the Gators in double digits. If he's playing in a game, you know it's out of hand. Gators now 16-6 on the season, 7-2 in SEC play. They did lose to Auburn at home a week ago, but they bounced back against the other team from Alabama on Sunday. And there are 2 different ways to approach this here. Is this a bigger issue with Alabama, or is this Florida hitting their stride? I think for the Gators, this is obviously a really talented team, and you knew that coming into the season. They returned Thomas Hall, who was a main contributor last season off the bench. Chinula, a guy that I saw someone in the NFL say would be the number 1 tight end off the board if he were an NFL player or a college football player. You got Micah Hadlockton. You got Alex Condon. And then you've also had some of those pieces that were buried on the depth chart last year rise up into key contributors. And then you add Xavier Lee and Boogie Flan to the group, and this is a really talented roster. But I also think they nailed the head coach hire a couple of years ago with Todd Golden. I know a lot of people have an opinion about stuff that rumored out last year, but he's a hell of a basketball coach. And he gives in and buys into his team's strengths. And while last year was 3-point shooting and kind of having that veteran-led nucleus of Elijah Martin and Walter Clayton and Will Richard, this year he's fully bought into this being a really good offensive rebounding team and a good rebounding team, period. And that was a huge advantage against an Alabama team that continues to struggle in terms of physicality and on the glass. So I really like this Florida team. I do worry about their guard play because I think it's inconsistent with Fland and Lee, both having their ups and downs. But what you got down low, you know, is going to be one of the best in the country any given night. But I do still have some concerns with Florida. I'm not saying they're hitting their stride completely yet, but I do think they're trending in the right direction. I'm going to go Alabama here. I think this is a big issue for the Tide. You know, we talk about Kim Caldwell in hour number 1. Is her method of winning sustainable? I'd say the same about Nate Oates. Is this a sustainable method of winning? Having a really strong offense with a lot of really good, talented guards that can fill up the stat sheet, Philon's one of the best in the country. Holloway is a former 5-star that can fill it up on any night. But they don't have any depth down low, and they get banged around. Remember they got that guy, what's the kid's name from Buckhead? Not Buckhead. What's the 7-footer they got from a mid-major this offseason? Donaldson, 7-footer. Yeah, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but they brought in all these top-tier portal players that had a ton of size. The Donaldson kid, I'd have to look it up, but Bucknell.
Bucknell. Yeah, that's what I was thinking maybe you were trying to say,
Bucknell.
yeah.
I said Buckhead. I apologize. Error, no omissions. Bucknell. That guy was a highly recruited transfer portal target. He doesn't even play. So the depth they have down low is not good, and they whipped on the guys they got in the portal so much so they had to go get Charles Bediako out of the G League, and that guy fouled out on Saturday. So I think Alabama's got a huge issue in its interior. If they don't have their guards put up 20 points apiece, then I don't see how this is a team that advances very far in the tournament. I've never been high on Alabama heading into March in multiple seasons now because I think they're a boom-bust team. Their defense is not strong enough to weigh out a bad shooting night. And sometimes their defense is not good enough to even keep them in the game, like was the case on Sunday. So I think this is a bigger issue with Alabama. It raises questions to, is this method of winning and how Nate Oates forms these rosters sustainable as you enter in the tournament? Because right now this is not a team trending in the right direction. Out of the AP top 25 poll, embarrassed on Sunday, manhandled down low. You got a former NBA G Leaguer that's fouling out and getting pushed around by a bunch of guys that are still taking classes. I think it's a bigger issue with Alabama, but I do like what I'm seeing from Florida recently. Bigger takeaway to you, Garrett. Issues with Alabama or Florida hitting their stride?
I mean, I think it's evident. Obviously, Alabama's not playing well right now, but I think Florida is playing. I think they're playing at a higher level than people would expect they could without Xavier Lee and Boogie Flan. I mean, Xavier Lee has obviously been, I'm not going to say he's been a bust, but I mean, when you got him from Princeton, you expected him to be a guy that was going to put up 15, 16 points a game. He's averaging less than 11. He only scored 6 points against Alabama. Flan's been very up and down in SEC play, was struggling significantly a couple weeks ago. He's had a couple good outings, but still hasn't scored, I think, over 10 points in his last 3 games. You're scoring 100 points without those guys. Obviously, Walter Clayton, your main scorer from last year, goes to the NBA draft. I mean, you have guys like Condon and stuff that have come back, but to score 100 points without, guard play being really that good, I think that's impressive. If Xavier Lee and Boogie Flan figure it out coming down the stretch, I think Florida is going to be a tough team to beat in the tournament. Not saying they're going to repeat by any means, but Alabama, they've had some injury issues. Amari Allen, one of their top guys, he played against Florida, but he was out for a couple of games before that. So I think Alabama's they're not fully healthy. They're kind of trying to figure out certain things. I think it's a mixture of both, but I would honestly side on the side that I think Florida's just playing really good basketball right now.
Yeah, once again, as you mentioned, Allen comes back. So did Holloway. The healthiest Alabama has been in multiple weeks, but it didn't seem to matter as Florida continued to push them around down low. But I would agree. Guard play is the big thing in the tournament. Fland and Lee have got to be consistent, and they got to be better. But I think this is also just a sign of Florida saying, we were going to lean on those guys earlier in the year, and they gave them a ton of shots, high volume, but it wasn't really working. They were, coming in and out of games, in and out of wins. And I know they've only got 6 on the season, but there were a lot of games where Lee would be really bad or Flan would be really bad, and you'd kind of invested too much time and too many possessions into their performances throughout the course of a game. Now you're kind of seeing Florida start to change that identity a little bit. So I think that's big for them. And we talk about Barnes and how he is kind of figuring out his rotations, firming up what he wants to see. I think Todd Golden in Florida is doing the same here. Statement win yesterday against the Crimson Tide. Brett, would you agree with that?
Yeah, Florida's a top 10 team by far. I mean, they only play 5-6 guys anyway. They did it last year too. But I mean, Flan and Lee are 4th and 5th options on this team when you got Condon and Howe and Chinulu that are just beasts down low. And I mean, 24 assists to 2 turnovers is ridiculous, and only made 3 threes. I mean, they sent a message. Nate Oates had those in the paint comments, and so they just wanted to send a message yesterday. And they're a scary team. Alabama made 14 to 34 threes and felt like they just got their doors blown off all day yesterday. So just impressive, the balance. And, maybe Florida's going to hit their stride like they did last year around this time and just really took off. So they're going to be a scary team the rest of the SEC season and into March. I certainly wouldn't want to see them right now.
Three of their losses are to teams that are probably going to make it to the Elite Eight or further. I mean, there's 3 of their losses in non-con were to UConn, Duke, and Arizona. I mean, I think Arizona's going to win the national title. Duke's playing very good. UConn's been a little bit inconsistent.
Was that
Big
one
East
loss,
play,
2 losses between those 3 teams?
Yeah, I mean, Arizona's undefeated. Duke has, I think, 1 loss, and UConn has maybe 1 or 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Florida's legit. But Alabama's got their own issues, no doubt about it. I mean, it was always going to be kind of a tougher year. They had a lot to replace coming into the season. You lose Sears, Grant Nelson, and things like that. So it was going to be a tough season, but it's kind of going downhill for Alabama fast. But I think it was more about Florida yesterday, and they're going to be tough to beat this postseason.
The other thing I really liked when Charles Bediako got ruled eligible to play, Todd Golden.
Yeah, let him play.
Todd Golden had some pretty strong comments, and they backed it up on Sunday.
I mean, they got arguably the best bigs in the conference.
You see their student section? They were chanting about him.
Yeah. G League dropout, or what they say?
I think that's what it was. G League dropout.
Will, what'd you make of yesterday's game?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Brett and Garrett. I think it says more about Florida. I mean, obviously, you could see that Alabama kind of could get exposed. Like you said, big boomer bust team. But to put up 100 with inefficient guard play is that's pretty ridiculous. I mean, that front court, or not inefficient, but inconsistent, I'd say. But that front court really, I think is one of the best in the country. I mean, and it looks like they found another gear, and I really don't want to see them in March. And I'm excited to see what they'll do against Kentucky comes on Valentine's Day down in the Swamp. So excited to see how they'll treat them.
We'll talk more about Kentucky and Arkansas here in a moment, but let's cover one of the biggest games and most highly anticipated games of the college basketball season. That was Saturday in Lawrence, Kansas, as the game of the day was number 13 BYU at number 14 Kansas, and it delivered the full Darren Peterson experience. And I say some of that in a positive way, and I say some of that in a negative way. For one half, the full-strength Jayhawks looked like a championship contender. Peterson was hot on the assignment. I mean, early, 9 points in the first 5 minutes of the game, active in the passing lane, stealing, racking up steals, taking it down the course of the court, and kind of calling his own number a couple of times. He looked like a potential number 1 overall pick. And he had this, hyped up matchup between BYU's AJ DeBansa, who's also projected to be, a top pick in the draft, and Peterson, a class of these really talented 5-star players. It kind of looked like Peterson took it personally, like the MJ way. I took it personally, right? Peterson scored 18 points and had 3 steals through the first 20 minutes of this game. And then DeBansa scored 7 with 2 turnovers as Kansas raced out to a 20-point halftime lead. But then, in very Darren Peterson fashion, we only saw him for 3 minutes in the second half. Now, he's had a couple of nagging injuries throughout the season. I saw a clip of Peterson talking on the bench with one of the staff members. It did not look like a great interaction for Kansas fans. And the Jayhawks survive without him. They win 90-82. But a game that started as, such a great, dominant performance, I think Kansas comes out with a lot of questions. You get one of the biggest wins of the weekend, and you come out with more questions. And my thing with Peterson is that I don't really know what I get with him on a game-to-game basis, because you do see the potential, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah. He's best player in college.
Well, he could be if he played the entirety of a game, and that's, I think, the issue, because he comes out, sets the tone. Kansas gets out to an early lead because of him. I mean, it's 15-4 right off the bat, and he's outscoring BYU himself.
Yeah.
And I thought what he displayed defensively was really key, because sometimes you get these 5-star players that just want to be offensive oriented. He had 2 steals in the first 5 minutes. But my concern with him is I don't know what I'm getting out of him through a course of a game. And come tournament time, that's going to be a huge issue, because Peterson obviously makes them a much better team than when he's not on the floor. But is it reliable? Is he reliable enough is a question I have. And I think a lot of Kansas fans ask that question, because you're up 20 points at halftime, and you see him for 3 minutes in the second, And this ends up only being an 8-point win. And it was closer than that for a moment. I mean, around the 2 or 3 minute mark, it was a 4 5 point game. And you blow a 20-point lead at home.
Well, that's because Saunders went off for
BYU. And
he's
BYU's
a really good player.
And I'm not discrediting BYU. They got a great team. Saunders played well. They got a couple of really nice veteran players around Devonsa.
Yeah.
But for me, my takeaway from the game was I still don't know what I get with Peterson night in and night out. I've seen the highs, which you saw in the first half, but I also see the lows where I don't know why he's not playing. So I think if Kansas wants to be a true championship contender, they've got to figure out this mysterious development that we've watched unfold over the last 2 months with Darren Peterson. Hell of a player, but reliability and availability is sometimes better than what your potential is. If you're not available, I can't do anything with that. Everyone gripes about John Morant and Zion Williamson. They're great players when they play, but can I rely on a guy like that every night? Can I rely on him to be available? I think that's kind of the issue that Kansas is in right now with Peterson. Garrett, to you, how concerning is this roller coaster that they're experiencing, that Kansas is experiencing with their 5-star guard?
Yeah, very. I mean, obviously, he's the best player in the country when he's playing. I mean, you saw that in the first half. It was basically a carbon copy of what happened when they lost to UCF about a month ago. Scores around 20 points in the first half, and then you just don't see him in the second half, just a complete no-show. When him and Bryson Tiller are playing good, I honestly think they're a Final Four caliber team if they're both playing the entire game. They're that good. You talk about in baseball, a guy being a 5-tool player. Peterson has it all. He can get to the basket. He shoots threes at an elite level. You talked about his the ability to steal the ball from on defense. He had an absurd pass that led to a 3-point shot in the first half. Like, he could do it all. But when his agents, on the sideline talking to coaching staff, it's not a good look. It's not a good look for NBA, franchises. Obviously, he's going to be a top 2 pick no matter what. Some mock drafts obviously have him 1. Some mock drafts have DeBonza 1. I think Peterson's going to have the better career and is the better player, but I think DeBonza right now is probably the guy that you would want to select just based on you're not going to have to deal with all the off-court, BS that you might have to deal with Peterson. And I really hope it doesn't turn into some Ace Bailey situation where it's you're holding out to play for a certain team and not going to work out with certain teams. Not saying that's what's going to happen, but when you're removing yourselves in a close game and not playing the second half because of cramping, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it's not a good look. That video that you referenced, was that is what I was referencing as well. Not a good sign. I don't like that. If I'm Kansas, I'm saying, hey, get away from the bench. Wait, we'll take care of your guy, but also we're trying to win games, and that's what we brought him here. So I'm not trying to speculate of what went down in that conversation, but it's a bad look regardless. Brett, what do you make of it?
I hate it for all us college basketball fans. If he's doing something, he's doing something. He's, that sort of thing. It was a special 20 minutes. He's a special player. I'm taking him number 1, whether he plays another dribble or not this season. And I just hold him out till March, honestly. You don't really need him this regular season stuff. And I think whatever seed they are going to this tournament with Darren Peterson, they're going to be a favorite to get to the Final Four. When he does play, he's electric. And, it's sad to see. That was the big stage. You wanted to see him out there against DeBonza, but what he did in those 20 minutes was kind of ridiculous. So, and it's unfortunate he's probably going to go to like the Wizards or something, but he's a special talent, and I hate that he was cramping and things like that. So, it's just one of those things, but yeah, I just hold him out till March, honestly, at this point.
Do you buy that, though? How can you be that explosive for multiple first halves and then the second half just multiple times? I'm not going to get the UCF game was odd to me because he didn't even sit with his teammates on the bench. Like, he was sitting on a stool like 4 or 5 feet from the end of the bench in that game. I don't know. I guess if you are cramping, like, you don't want to take the risk as the number 1 draft pick, but like, cramping seems like something you could go to the bench and like get worked out pretty simply and come back in the game.
Well, look like he had it wrapped. Later. I don't know. He had some over his legs. I don't know.
Well, how is cramping occurring this often?
Yeah, how
many guys again, I'm not trying to question the validity.
You wouldn't take him at number 1 because of this?
No, I'm just saying, but I'm talking about from a college basketball perspective. I'm not talking about the draft. Obviously he's a hell of a player.
Yeah.
But if I'm Kansas, like you're saying, if they make the tournament, they will make the tournament, but like you're saying that they're going to be a national championship favorite, one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't bet that because I don't know what I'm getting with Peterson on a given night. That's in terms of a stake and taking a future bet. I don't know what I'm getting. I mean,
so you think he just goes out there, plays one half, and decides I'm done?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I mean,
with all the scouts that were there too, you'd think you'd want to play as much as you can, things like that. But I don't know.
I mean, look, cramping one or two games out of a season, no big deal. But hell, these guys are top-notch athletes.
Because what was he dealing with when we were out there with him in Vegas? Was he hurt? Or
that was a foot injury, I believe, was it not?
He's had so many different, like before the preseason, it was the foot, or during first couple of games of the season. Then it's gone to this cramping. Well, again, I'm not saying that he's faking anything, but it just, to me, comes off odd that he can go out there and be so explosive for a half, and then the next half starts, and then he starts cramping. I don't know. It just comes off very odd to me that's what happens. It seems like every game almost.
Drink of water, brother. I mean, cramping. I mean,
I'm sure he's sponsored by Gatorade or something.
He's probably, yeah. Will, what do you make of it? Is Peterson reliable enough entering the tournament?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's very concerning. I mean, obviously the talent is undeniable, but his availability isn't. And I wonder, when it gets to the tournament time, is that going to cause maybe some ruffles between the actual team? I mean, like Garrett said, sitting on the stool away from the team. When is it going to get to the point where the team matters more than his future?
Yeah.
And I think that could have some problems, especially come tournament time.
Well, we'll switch over to another SEC.
They play Texas Tech tonight.
Texas Tech tonight.
ESPN.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he does.
Hey, Red Raiders coming off a loss.
Tech will cover that game.
Red Raiders coming off a loss. Those are the spots I like. Team coming off a bad loss against a team coming off a great win.
Yeah. At home, too.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
I might have to get in the action on that one.
Don't do it.
Wonder what the spread is.
4.5.
4.5 Texas Tech.
Wonder
if that's the unknown of Peterson.
JT Toppin, that's my guy. All right.
Live at halftime.
Kentucky, Arkansas, a year after Calipari returned to his old Kentucky stomping grounds, and his unranked struggling team then upset the ranked Wildcats. Pope's unranked struggling team returned the favor on Saturday. Kentucky wins 85-77 at number 15 Arkansas, following up Tuesday's 80-55 loss at number 18 Vanderbilt. And it leaves Arkansas at 16-6 and 6-3 in SEC play with its first home loss of the season. And it left Kentucky 15-7 and 6-3 in SEC play on the season, with a collection of results that kind of have that Jekyll and Hyde description of you never know what you're really going to get with this team either. But Pope's now 39-19 in his second season with Kentucky. Calipari 38-20 in his second season with Arkansas, in the two seasons combined, that is. So they're both kind of on the same level playing field. But I love this game because there was some theatrics. And the thing about games like this, where things get a little bit chippy, I always love when the broadcasters are like, oh, you never want to see this. Two guys fighting or, hard fouls and stuff. Oh, you never want to see this. I love seeing it. And I think for both teams, they need some edge because Kentucky's not a team playing good basketball right now, though it was a good win Saturday. And I think Arkansas is a team that's already peaked and is starting to go downhill. I'll talk more about that here in a second, but this game featured 6 technical fouls, a late flagrant foul on Arkansas forward Trevin Brazell for grabbing Kentucky's Trent Noah. And then the teams got into some light shoving a couple of times, never escalated anything more past that. But, you get some edge here, and I like that in these type of matchups. But in terms of moving forward, I think Kentucky has the higher ceiling because this is a group that had some things go on in the locker room back in December and kind of messed everything up. The vibe was off. I can't really explain what happened over the air because it is a little not safe for workish, but this is a very talented team, and I don't think anyone's ever debated that. Key contributors from last year's team like a Noah, like a Chandler, they're back. Otega Oweh can be one of the best players on any given night. You added in some transfer portal pieces. I like this Kentucky team. They just haven't been able to put it together. And I think they have a higher ceiling moving forward because if this is a game where they have some chippiness, where they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and they're able to start gaining some momentum, then I think this is a Kentucky team that could be dangerous come tournament time. For Arkansas, I don't see it. I think they've already peaked. Arkansas is kind of a similar team to what Calipari had in years past. I know he's gone more older players and gone away from the 5-star high school players as their main focal point. But Arkansas has their moments, and it kind of has those same moments as Calipari had in those latter years at Kentucky, where they can come out and play with anyone in the country, but they can also come out and lose a game like this on their own floor against a struggling team. So I like Kentucky moving forward in terms of a higher ceiling. I think Arkansas's already peaked. Garrett, your opinion on that? Who has the higher ceiling coming out of this one?
I think it's Kentucky as well. It might be a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but I really do think Arkansas is one of the more overrated teams in the SEC. I mean, obviously they beat us when we went there by 11, and they stopped Vanderbilt, but I mean, the rest of their wins in conference play, I mean, they've beat LSU, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and South Carolina. I mean, South Carolina's basically the worst team in the SEC. Ole Miss, LSU are pretty much right there with them, and then Oklahoma's maybe a tad step ahead of that. You lose to Kentucky on your home court. You lose to Georgia on the road by 14, a game that Tennessee was able to win. You lose at Auburn by 22. Like, I don't know. I just feel like in SEC play, they've been a little bit overrated. They're 6-3. They have a lot of tough games coming in. They still have Florida to play. They play at Alabama. I mean, they still have some tough games. They play Texas. So I don't know. I just think Arkansas is a little bit overrated. I'm with you. I think Kentucky has a little bit more depth. I think they have a little bit better roster. Not to say Arkansas can't go on a run and make the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight if they get hot in March Madness. I just think right now they're not playing their best basketball. And their wins in conference play, honestly, outside Vanderbilt and Tennessee, have not been very impressive.
Brett, to you, who has the higher ceiling coming out of this one?
That's tough because, we talk about Arkansas schedule. Kentucky's not exactly beating, the top-notch teams outside of us either. Ole Miss, LSU, Mississippi State. They were down by 19 against LSU. I just got to give Kentucky the slight edge. I just think the experience of OA and things like that. I think what Pope's doing to keep this team together is pretty impressive too.
Yeah.
And I think he's a little better X's and O's as a coach than Calipari. But I put these teams in similar boats. I mean, both are uber talented, and I think I could see them both, playing into the second weekend in March. I really do. And, we're going to have a tough one up there on Saturday versus them.
Yeah, most definitely. Will, real quick, higher ceiling coming out.
I got Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky's locked in. I think they have NBA-level scoring like we've seen. The problem is the consistency. I mean, putting up 55 points at Vanderbilt, that's pretty ridiculous. So pretty curious to see what kind of team we'll face on Saturday and then how that will translate later into March.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, when we come back, we'll switch over to another trending topic in college basketball. Former UCLA guard Amari Bailey says, hey, Charles Bediako, I like what you just did. Let me see if I can do it as well. We'll break it down when we return right here on the Playbook on Fan Run Radio.
For the fans, by the fans, this is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
For over 3 years, Crumble Cookies has served the Knoxville area. From Clinton Highway to Parkside Drive, even our friends out in Maryville have reached you, our fans, with the best cookies in the game. This fall, Crumble is gearing up for yet another fantastic season. Whether you're tailgating or looking for a pick-me-up after getting the kids from school, Crumble has you covered. Download the Crumble app to check out this week's rewards and features. And stop on by. Tell them Fan Run sent you, but don't miss the cookies.
Vol fans, reimagine your home at Broadway Carpets and Flooring for any remodeling or building needs. With a variety of carpets, rugs, hardwood, vinyl, and stone, Broadway has all the flooring and installation options you're looking for, including pet-resistant products like Pet Perfect Carpet from Shaw Floors. Visit their showroom in downtown Knoxville or the location in West Knoxville located on Kingston Pike near Pellissippi Parkway today.
Yeah, it's another day, but what kind of day is it really? A day of doom scrolling? Laundry day? Nah, it's a White Claw day. Light and refreshing tasting, uniquely cold way filtered. There's an iconic flavor for everyone. So grab a pack, grab your friends. Make the most of each day with those who matter most. When you're together with White Claw, every day is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You just gotta grab it. White Claw. Grab life by the claw. Please drink responsibly. Hard seltzer with flavors. White Claw Seltzer Works, Chicago, Illinois.
Yeehaw! I've been hooting and hollering ever since I started betting with the VIP Play app. VIP Play has more than 200 leagues, every bet type you can imagine, live betting and live hosts, all with 24/7 support from real live people when you need them. Start betting better with the VIP Play app today.
Don't be a better, be a better with VIP Play today.
Download VIP Play today or head to VIPPlayApp.com. Make sure you use the promo code FANRUN to take advantage of their welcome bonus and so they know that we sent you. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-8899-789. Must be 21 or older and located in Tennessee to bet.
A brand built in Tennessee and born from the love of the game. Inward Half revolutionizes golfing comfort. Crafted by a former pro and dedicated enthusiast just like you, our luxury performance wear guarantees you stay cool and comfortable through every swing and every day. We're not just a brand. We've set out to create a lifestyle for those who understand that impeccable style and premium performance are a hole-in-one. Enjoy the walk-in with Inward Half.
Hey, Vols fans, Cody Brown here. I grew up right here in Tennessee and know what it means when someone says, I've got your back. That's why you can trust Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee. Whether it's your home, your vehicle, your family's future, or the business you built from the ground up, we will show up for all of your insurance needs. We are Tennesseans who understand what matters, which is doing right by you. Insurance is not all about just paperwork and policies, but it's about the people we insure every day. So if you want insurance that hits home, give me a call at 865-992-3871. Go Vols.
That's why
Playbook on Fan Run Radio. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Coming up in about 26 minutes, it's The Drive with Russell Smith, Bob Baskerville, the Bear, and Walker Smith, rounding out your Monday here in K-Town. If you're listening on that YouTube live stream, make sure to like and subscribe. Let us know if you have any gripes, errors, or omissions in the comments section. And if you're listening on the Fan Run Radio app, we do appreciate it. All right, let's switch over to the unction former UCLA guard Amari Bailey, who played 10 games in the NBA as a member of the Charlotte Hornets, wants to be the first NBA player to make a college basketball return. Bailey's attorney, Elliot Abrams, confirmed to The Athletic on Friday that Bailey will pursue a return to college, and he entered the 2023 NBA draft after 1 year at UCLA, and Charlotte picked up the junior in the second round. He spent most of his rookie year in the G League with the Greensboro Swarm on a two-way deal, and Bailey went on to sign with the Brooklyn Nets in 2024, but the team then waived him a week before the season, sending him back to the G League, where the 21-year-old has logged 6.5 minutes on an NBA court and averaged 2.3 points per game, and he's been back and forth from the G League and the NBA ever since. So this is what Bailey told ESPN, quote, "Right now, I'd be a senior in college. I'm not trying to be 27 years old playing college athletics. No shade to the guys doing that. That's their own journey. But I want to go play professionally, but I went to go play professionally and learned a lot. Went through a lot. So, why not me?" Well, I can name a number of reasons why not you, because this shouldn't be happening. And what I make of this story is, well, I don't blame the guy, because Alabama just showed that you can do it. Now, I know Alabama fans want to act like it's not the same. You told me about it. Don't worry. But it is the same thing. You got a former player from college that is now trying to go to the NBA and then come back to college in a 3 to 4 year span. What are we doing here? Amari Bailey exhausted his eligibility when he decided to leave UCLA. That has always been the process of this. Now, you can say, it's the NCAA. Oh, Baylor started this. Well, Alabama kind of started this, what this is right here. A former player that went to the NBA level, whether it was G League or the NBA, and is trying to come back. That's not the same thing as Nanji at Baylor. The kid from Baylor
was overseas, was drafted, but had draft rights. That's it. There are plenty of European players and overseas players that are drafted that never touch the court in the NBA, but they have draft rights. But he never played, and he never played college basketball before. It's his choice to come play college basketball, and the NCAA ruled him eligible. The difference between what this is about to do and what Bediako did and Nanji is that the NCAA said, okay, you're good to go. You haven't played college basketball yet. You've never played in the NBA. You never signed any of that. You can come back and play. Bediako got denied by the NCAA and then said, okay, well, hey, booster judge over here loves college athletics, loves Alabama, and is going to let me play. And that's what Bailey's going to have to do. The NCAA is going to scoff at this. They're not going to entertain a former NBA player coming back and having eligibility when he's already exhausted his own. And he's going to have to go to a local judge. The same thing Bediako just did. So all the Alabama people out there saying, oh, we didn't start this. Oh, this is Baylor. Well, no, this is exactly what your current center did 2 weeks ago. And that was the can of worms that was opened up. So this is not only a ludicrous story, but I don't blame the guy to do it because Bediako has now proven that somehow, some way, you can get a circuit court to say you're eligible to play. But if this happens, I mean, at what point do we stop? And I proposed this 2 weeks ago. The way the NCAA puts an end to this is saying, if you play one of these guys that we have ruled ineligible, that you have then taken to a circuit court and gotten eligibility, then he's not playing and he's not going to be eligible for the NCAA tournament, which is our tournament. Now, the difference in college football, folks, I know a lot of people might be saying, well, isn't Joey Aguilar trying to do that? Isn't Trinidad Chambliss trying to do that? Well, the NCAA doesn't hold the FBS rights to the championship games. That's the TV networks. So in order to make the college football playoff, they don't have to worry about the NCAA allowing them to. The difference in basketball is the NCAA tournament is the NCAA tournament. And they can do whatever they want in terms of not letting a team in because they break rules. So the way that the NCAA can step in and really put an end to this, if Bailey does go to a circuit judge and they rule him an extra year or eligibility or a temporary restraining order, whatever it may be, the NCAA says, fine, okay, you want to go that route? Well, you're not eligible for our tournament, and you're not allowed to play in our tournament. If he's playing and those games that you used that said player in will not count. So then how many teams are going to continue to try and do this? I think that's the way to solve it. Garrett, to you, what do you make of this story? Who do you blame for it? What could be the possible outcome if he is ruled eligible?
The end of amateurism, which we've already seen in college athletics, but the complete ending of it. I mean, as you said, I mean, this guy was drafted in the second round of the NBA draft. Now, Bediako was undrafted, and I'm not saying anything about what he is doing is okay by any means, but this guy's name was literally called on NBA draft night to go play in the NBA, and he learned maybe he's not good enough to play in the NBA right now.
Played 10 games in the actual NBA.
Yeah, and now he wants to come back. He was picked as the 41st pick. This would be like Chaz Lanier coming back to Tennessee. Because, I mean, they were basically picked in the same point in the draft, 3 years later or 2 years later. But the fact that a second-round draft pick in the NBA thinks that he can come back and play college basketball, it's absolutely absurd. Because exactly what you said with the Baylor kid, he was playing European professional basketball, and that's completely different than the NBA. I have nothing wrong with professional basketball players in Europe coming over to play basketball in the States and playing collegiately. I mean, Ethan Berg obviously has not been a factor for Tennessee, but he played professional basketball in Europe. You see that all the time. That's been happening for years. But to play NBA games and then come back and play college basketball, it's kind of sickening to see that anyone would even try this. I mean, it is college basketball.
College basketball with a couple of former pros.
Yes.
What they're going to make this here soon. Brett, to you, what do you make of the story? Should Bailey get another year?
No. Problem is until the NCAA does something like to stop all this, I mean, you can't blame a guy for at least trying. I mean, he's obviously in the pros now, or he is in the G League. Then, what's to keep him from trying? He's this NIL is a problem too. These guys can probably go back and make more money than they're currently making as well. They're seeing how much guys are getting paid and things like that. So, back when these guys went into the league, the NIL wasn't as large as it is now. I'm sure UCLA can throw a lot of money at you, and Alabama can, and things like that. So until it's done through Congress or NCAA to prohibit this from actually happening, more and more guys are going to continue to try and beat the system. It's crazy that we're in this world, but here we are.
Will, same question to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty messy. I think, like Garrett said, I think the line between amateurism and professionalism is just gone. Especially, it's almost completely gone. I mean, the NBA is a cutthroat league, right? And it's really tough to make it. The guy bet on himself, and he didn't succeed. So where does he go from here? I think is where he's trying to look at it. And I get that it makes sense that he's my age, could still play, but I mean, you got drafted. Your name was said on national television, and you got a deal. And so I just think he's kind of just trying to make up for not succeeding. I mean, I wouldn't say he definitely did succeed. He got drafted, but to the point where he wanted to. So where does he really go from this? And I think the NCAA just has no idea how, like a can of worms. It's so open. It's just we're gonna see more and more names get thrown in the ring, and what are they gonna do with it? We'll see.
My question is, let's say he does get eligibility back. Is he immediately eligible for this season? Which team does he join? Does he go to UCLA? Like, how does this go down?
The guy hasn't been in school for 2 years, right?
I mean, yeah. And I mean, I remember watching him, that UCLA Gonzaga game went back and forth. And that was Julian Strother was the one that had the buzzer beater. Yeah. And I remember Bailey playing in that game. I think the picture I used from that game is on the graphic today. But how does this go down? Because Bediako was already going back to Alabama. Is Bailey going to go back to UCLA? Then do we see a recruiting war over this kid just to finish off the season?
He can come back in the middle of the semester, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know how he plans on going about this, unless it would be for next season. But what kind of eligibility is he ruled? And if he has to take it to a circuit court because the NCAA is not going to allow him to play, does that mean he has to do it now? Get a temporary, that's the only way Bediako is playing right now because of the temporary restraining orders.
If he got ruled eligible somehow, he would probably have 2 years left, right? Because I mean, he played 22 and 23, so he'd probably get 2 more years eligibility, right? Of his 4 years. I mean, I'm not saying he should get that, but that's probably what he would be awarded.
Was he not a one? It was a one and done, so he would technically have 3 years of unexhausted eligibility at one point, but it was exhausted when he went to the draft.
And wouldn't he just be better off going to the G League or going playing in a high level league overseas, or wouldn't that be better than playing college basketball? In my opinion, if you're playing professional, I feel like if you're playing professional basketball against other professionals, the G League is obviously better than college basketball. Why wouldn't you just go play in the G League or something? I don't know. I just feel like that would make more sense.
Well, there's so many different ways to approach this here, but let's say he does come back, finishes off a season for a team, puts up 20 points a night. Does that mean he gets drafted again? How does that process go about? I mean, I don't. I mean, clearly he hadn't cut in the NBA, so it probably wouldn't be likely he would be signed anywhere else. But I mean, I don't know how this benefits him a whole lot, because it's you're basically publicly coming out and saying, I'm not good enough to play in the NBA. I'm going to go back to college. What's your goal long term?
So it looks like he's with the Timberwolves G League team, was the most recent team that he played for, the Iowa Wolves.
Iowa Wolves, yeah.
So would the Timberwolves still have
his rights?
His rights when he graduate or when he comes back from college, or does he?
And that's what I'm saying. Does UCLA have his rights in college? I don't know how this is even going to work. So I mean, if I had to bet on it, I'd say there's no shot he plays. But good for him for trying. He's going to make a fool of himself, though, and probably lose a spot in the G League, and he'll be overseas. It's a big risk for him to take. I don't think it's going to pay off.
I don't either.
And basketball is so much different than football. We're never going to see an NFL player come back to college football.
We were talking about that the other day.
I hope not, at least. But I could understand if it didn't work out for you and you were a 7th round pick from an FCS school and you wanted to come back and play,
undrafted,
and you wanted to come back and play college football, because there's not many options. probably rather play college football than be on the practice squad or play in the XFL or the CFL. But like baseball, I'd rather play AAA baseball than play college baseball. If I was basketball, I'd rather play G League than college basketball. If I was trying to get to the next level, I don't. It just seems like basketball you would want to play professionally.
Yeah, because I was like, Tennessee needs a quarterback. Why not go find one of these guys on the practice squad? I hadn't played an NFL game yet.
Yeah.
Or a UFL game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they got eligibility, I at least ask the question. Somebody's going to try it in the NFL. Somebody is going to try this. No doubt about it.
But the NFL is different because once you sign up, like once you hit those deadlines, you're done. Like, and it's a pretty understood thing.
But it's like you're just signing a practice squad contract, kind of like they're signing G League contracts. They're not actually on the team because teams can pull you off their practice squad to play for their team the very same week.
Well, the reason why I think the NFL and college football branch is different is because, like in the NBA, you can go after one season of college, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And college football, you got to play 3 seasons to even be eligible. So it's not like these guys would be coming back with a ton of, like, if you're leaving school early, you're getting signed.
Some of these guys are saying, like, I'm in my 5th year window. Like, if a guy leaves after 3, he technically still has 2 years of college
probably
football.
Won't ever happen in football. But although do you remember when the Bengals, they drafted Shamar Stewart this year, and there was that weird thing about he was like talking about he might go back to A&M. I mean, that was definitely more in the Bengals front office and stuff.
Yeah,
but like,
he hadn't signed.
Well, his agent too is telling him to do some stupid stuff.
Yeah. When we come back, we'll wrap things up. Stay right here. It's the Playbook on Fan Run Radio.
Congratulations. You found sports radio that doesn't suck. This is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Hey, Knoxville. Surfside iced tea and vodka made with real brewed tea is only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar with no bubbles and no troubles. That's right, 0 carbonation, so it's easy to sip and enjoy. Headed to a game day or party at a friend's house? Bring an iced tea or lemonade variety pack from Surfside or try their green tea and new raspberry tea vodka. Find the can with the sunset stripes this season. Surfside iced tea and vodka. Sold at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Surfside iced tea and vodka. Sunshine in a can. Must be 21 or older. Enjoy responsibly.
Citizens National Bank.
Life is more fun with a Good Life checking account from Citizens National Bank, offering extra benefits including bank travel. This September, experience the perfect fall getaway on the New England Rails and Sails Tour, or join CNB in October to chase the Northern Lights in Iceland. Get in on the fun by calling 865-429-7935.
Citizens National Bank. Banking never felt so good.
Member FDIC.
Barley's has live music on weekends, general team trivia on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., and now live sports trivia courtesy of the Knoxville Trivia Guys every Thursday night upstairs. The game starts at 7 p.m. and is free to play for everyone, so head on down to the Old City and show off your sports knowledge and win gift cards to Barley's. Use those gift cards to buy some delicious food and drinks, and you can take it all in with their wide selection of TVs and indoor projectors. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria.
We really need to get some branded stuff. Shirts, hats, promo items, something professional. I mean, we could just find a website and order a bunch of it ourselves. You could, but you're taking a big risk. You don't know the quality, the fit, the timeline. It's a roll of the dice. Yeah, I guess, but isn't that how everyone does it now? Not the ones who actually care about how their brand looks. Look, if we're putting our name on it, it needs to be done right. We need SM Athletics. SM Athletics? Yeah, they specialize in working with businesses like ours. Apparel, hats, promo gear, but real, customized stuff. They actually care if it turns out right. Probably a lot better than getting stuck with 100 t-shirts with crooked logos. Exactly. Plus, they'll walk you through everything. Sizing, colors, material, so it matches the image we're trying to build. Makes sense. What's the name again? SM Athletics. Trust me, if you want to look like a real company, not a flea market stand, this is the move. If you're serious about your brand, work with people who are serious about getting it right. SM Athletics.
At Knoxville Insurance Group, they understand the challenges many consumers face when searching for insurance coverage. That's why whether it's for you, your family, or your business, they create a coverage plan specifically for your unique needs. Knoxville Insurance Group is an independent firm, which means they aren't beholden to just one insurance company. They search multiple companies, acting as your negotiator to find you the best possible policy and price. Start a quote in minutes at KnoxvilleInsuranceGroup.com or call them today at 865-694-9788.
Final thoughts on this Monday. We appreciate you hanging out. Flew by today. Coming up next, it's The Drive. Russell Smith, Bob Baskerville, the Bear, and Walker Smith rounding out your Monday here to start your week. Reminder, I guess I haven't said it yet on the broadcast yet, but Saturday, Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria, the official watch party of Fan Run Radio. Come watch the game with the Fan Run crew as Tennessee takes on Kentucky. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time tip. That means arrive early and get your spot, claim your spot at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria. Happy to go out there this weekend. Final thoughts. We had touched on it at the beginning of the broadcast. I did receive an array of tweets this week from a specific fan base. The story behind it. So I make the tweet. I'm eating dinner, watching TV, make the tweet. And then my new desk came in. So I was building my desk for about 2 hours. And I come back to my phone. I've got 45 Twitter notifications. I was like, what the hell? And I then see I've been quote tweeted by Barstool, Alabama. And I've got Crimson Crusade in my comment section.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, what? And I guess they took offense to my take.
Because this was after the Mari Bailey stuff,
Correct,
right?
correct. And I said, thank you, Nate Oates, Alabama, Charles Bediako, and a booster judge for opening up a can of worms. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think it's not a wrong.
No,
it's not wrong.
There were a lot of people making comments on it.
Yeah, and Alabama fans didn't want to take accountability for it. That's fine. I don't blame them.
Yeah.
I don't want to take accountability for doing something wrong either. But they're all of them, near all of them, were like, Nanji started it. Baylor started it. Well, Nanji wasn't a former college basketball player that then went to the NBA or the NBA G League and came back. And then there are some people trying to get cute and very critical and be like, well, Bediako never played in the NBA. He was a G Leaguer. I was like, bro, if that's really what you want to do, go ahead, have it. I'm not going to change your mind.
They were talking about Europeans too, right?
Yeah, talking about European players, but it's like we've been doing this for years. There have been plenty of European players that have come back and play.
Yep.
Like we've never seen this happen. We've never seen Bediako happen. So, and then one guy was just, sending me books. And he was like, then I need to go do some journalism and read the case that Bediako has. And I'm like, dude, I don't need to read a case. I don't like. He's saying like, well, the argument he has is really good if you would read it and you would do your journalism. I don't need to read the court documents to understand that what he's doing is unlike we've ever seen before, and that he's using a circuit judge to be able to play basketball. He was denied by the NCAA, by the way. I don't care what he has to say in court. It's obviously going to be a very one-sided opinion of what's going down. So Crimson Crusade was all up on my ass this weekend. There's a reason why he's a 40-year-old after his 8-to-5 job, tweeting at a 23-year-old who's got his own radio show, So I hate to be that way, but it did kind of
then their G Leaguer gets dominated by Chinulu.
Yeah.
And Florida on top of it.
I about tweeted out yesterday, like
17 rebounds from Chinulu.
I about tweeted out yesterday, like, is Alabama
70 points in the paint.
Alabama fans going to change their tune? Like, Bediako does suck. What he's doing is bad. Like
somebody said he's just going to try and downgrade to high school basketball.
I saw that. Charles Bediako headed back to high school. He's going to be taking on Farragut this weekend.
Yeah. They get you some engagement on your 226,000 views.
Yeah. See, that's the other thing. I hate, and I get it. It's a buzzword, engagement bait. Everyone, they're like, oh, here's some engagement bait. I don't do engagement bait.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying.
I know. I'm not getting mad at you.
No, yeah.
I don't like, now sometimes on my other account, like some of the stuff I put out there is a little bit baity, but at least when I give takes and I say, like, I do my research, do my homework, I'm not baiting anyone.
Yeah.
And that one loser with a Kalshi ad next to him was going back and forth with me, calling him engagement bait. I'm like, no, it's not. And I listed it all out.
You probably bet on some type of Bediako Kalashi stock future.
Yeah. All right. We appreciate you listening along with us. For Brett Hollander, Garrett Armbrust, and Will Palumbo, I'm William Pattison. Coming up next, it's The Drive right here on Fan Run Radio.